No child should go to school every day and learn how to hate themselves, but so many children are every single day because they're being taught that their language is wrong, right? Not that it is different, but that it is wrong. They're being taught that their traditions are wrong or savage or unnatural, that who they love is wrong or savage or unnatural, right? That the ways in which our hair naturally grows out of our head is unprofessional. And so once we get into the working world, that we need to change it, right? That our speech patterns are unprofessional. And so we need to change those when we go to a job interview, instead of being told, there are many ways to operate in the world. Here's what dominant culture is. Here's why it rules so many of our lives, right? And you can make this choice whether you operate in it or not, right? Instead of having that honest conversation with kids, we mold kids and kids of color and kids from marginalized backgrounds into a conformity that is deeply damaging to our spirits, that makes us shells of human beings by the time we graduate. So imagine if we are shells of human beings and we can't read on grade level, right? Or if we can read on grade level and we're actually valedictorian, but we still don't believe in ourselves and believe in where we come from. That doesn't make a strong leader. That doesn't make a strong and continual learner. That doesn't create somebody who is going to change the world, right? We're essentially creating our robots who can move through dominant culture seamlessly and not disrupt the social order and not ever disrupt the status quo. That's not who I was raised to be. And my parents knew that that's probably what I'd be receiving at school. And so I needed to be receiving something different at home. They knew how to advocate for me and my younger brother in the school building to make sure that we weren't shortchanged. But they knew that my education, my formal education, would always fall short because it was never built for kids like me. And that if they were going to raise a young woman who could liberate herself and her oppressor, then I'd have to know where I come from, I'd have to be proud of it, and I'd have to be willing to tell the truth even when it's hard. I mean, there are lots of root causes, right? There is a root cause of economics. I spent my Saturday going for the second time to the new Smithsonian Museum, the National Museum on African American History and Culture. And there's an entire wall where they talk about the use of mortgaging enslaved people, buying bonds on enslaved people, producing cloth and cotton and obviously textiles and sugar and tobacco and all of these kinds of things based on the free labor of enslaved people who I know for a fact were some of my ancestors. Absolutely one of the foundations is racism, and I would say xenophobia more broadly. The kind of fear that we have of people who are not like us, and the ways in which a Eurocentric culture in particular, in which whiteness has formed, especially in a country like America, the ways in which that has created a system of winners and losers based on race. So you have young people like myself who went to the best schools money could buy in theory, who speak the King's English well, who can function very seamlessly in dominant culture, and yet things like my hair are criticized, right? Or the way that I choose to express myself culturally, or the kind of music that I listen to, or the kind of passion that I might express myself with is called aggression, or it's described as angry, right? Instead of the kind of relentlessness that my white colleagues are complimented for, right? So I would say most primarily race and class sit at the foundation of inequity. And I would say that the perpetuation of inequity is very deeply tied to the anxiety that people have around what it truly means to be equitable.